All right, Sean, let's dive into our countdown to kickoff with the New Orleans Saints. They went 9-8 last year. Derek Carr, first year in New Orleans as quarterback. He returns this year. Win total for New Orleans, 7.5. So set a little bit below what they did last year with those 9 wins. They're playing in a division that's fairly weak, right? Like, what do we expect from the Falcons with Kirk Cousins? Is Baker Mayfield going to take another step forward with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Based on the face you're making, for those of you watching us here on Twitch, you're not buying the Saints going into this season.
No, no. It's been a disappointment forever. I feels like not forever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me not overreact, but the last few years, you know what I mean? Post Drew Brees, post Sean Payton, we've always said, "Oh, look at the weapons there. This is a talented team. They got a really good defense," but they've always been blah, right? And they're only 9-8 because of the division they're in. If they were in a real division, they would have an under 500 record. And I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be pretty good in this division with Kirk Cousins being healthy. Again, Kirk Cousins is no showstopper, but he'll be the best quarterback in the division with a whole lot of talent around him and Brian Robinson and all those guys. So I can't see the Saints. I think 7.5 is so perfect for what they put it at. Like, I think it's going to be around that. If I had to take a guess, I'm going to go under at them ending the season 7-10. Again, this is I call it a no aura team. It's a no aura, no swag team. Like, it's just a team that's there. They'll be competitive. They'll play okay. They'll get some wins. But there's nothing special about this team. There's nothing there's no Sunday ticket. You ain't getting a Sunday ticket for the Saints, right? Like, they're just blah. So again, Chris Olave, I expect to get 1,000 yards. We'll talk about that in a second, but under. I'm going under.
When we're talking about the Saints, look, I think looking at this team, 3 years removed from the postseason, right? And so I think when you look at this outlook, cautiously optimistic, right, is where I would say. I don't see anything over a 9-win team right now. I don't think they're the favorites to win the NFC South. I think Vegas echoes that, obviously. I think the Bucs are the team to beat still right now. I know people are jumping on the Atlanta train with Kirk Cousins, but there is something to be said about the Saints that they are in kind of their backs against the wall, but they made a lot of necessary changes, offensive overhaul on their staff, bringing Clint Kubiak on, and not just bringing him on, but bringing a lot of guys that have familiarity, guys like Andrew Janako, who they worked with in Minnesota. Clancy Barone was one of the holdovers that they had, John Benton, guys that have just had a lot of tenure and experience. Rick Dennison's another one. Keith Williams, a former wide receivers coach from Baltimore. And so I think the defense is going to be just fine, right? I think there's some question marks there with the front four, but their back end is solid as it's ever been. But a lot of this hinges on, can Derek Carr help get them past where they need to go? And can this offense support the defense? Because this is a team that cannot afford to not play complementary football.
What do you see out of Alvin Kamara? Again, 650.5 is his prop. We both like the over on that, but again, I feel like it's so low because they don't know what he's going to be health-wise. What are you seeing out of Alvin Kamara? Can he go back to that explosive individual, or is he just a little bit older and he's not going to give you what he gave you 2-3 years ago?
No, I still think he's effective in this league. And people got to remember, last year he had the 3-game suspension. Last year he got hurt in that week 17 game against the Bucs that forced him out of that lineup against the Falcons. But over I think it was 8 of his games that he played in 60% more in the snaps. And look, I see that continuing. I think he's going to get at least 50% of the snaps or more. I expect Kendre Miller to kind of dig in a little bit more to his target share. Jamal Williams is going to be used a little bit more, but look, Alvin Kamara is going to be a huge focal point, and that's why we have the contract, things that are coming up right now that, it's all about the guaranteed money and kind of some reassurances that the Saints are committed to him. But look, I think when it's all said and done, Kamara is going to be a good focal point of this offense. They picture him in that Christian McCaffrey-esque role. Now, is he going to do that? I think he has that talent, but, there are some question marks on the offensive line. They're going with 3 players that have 3 years or less in experience. Trevor Penning's potentially their right tackle. The rookie Taliesin Falanga is going to be their left tackle. And then, they're looking at a second-year player potentially in Nick Saldiveri being their left guard. And so if it hits, it's going to only mean good things. But the way this offense is employed, They're setting up a lot of wide zone offense concepts, run concepts, outside zones, different types of things that are going to cater to what Alvin Kamara is doing best, which is he's conditioning is tops, right? I would never question his conditioning. I think his availability is going to be there. And so again, you like the over, I like the over too.
We're not all that high on the Saints. So then to go look at the player prop market for Alvin Kamara, 650 and a half yards is what his rushing yards is set at for the season. Is that a doable number for Kamara? He's going to be the lead back, get, the majority, if not all of the touches for the Saints this year. But even at that number, are you willing to take an over on that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, if you are the lead back, and again, this is barring injury. Alvin has dealt with a bunch of injuries lately, but if you are the lead back in that type of offense, it's not like you have Patty Mahomes where it's like, nah, we're gonna throw the ball 50 times a game. No, it's Derek Carr. He's gonna have to run the ball, and they're gonna have to use play action. To me, this number is all about health. And so if he plays enough games, he's gonna get over 650 and a half. If he plays 12 games, I think he'll be able to get that 12, 13 games. So I'm going to take the over on this. How about you?
I mean, he only played in 13 games last year because of some injuries, and he still finished with 694 yards. So 13 games, he's going over this number last season. This does feel too low, right? To your point, very injury prone, but if he's going to stay on the field, and you'd also imagine that Saints offensive line, maybe a little bit better this season. He can, hit those gaps a little bit easier. So I'm with you. I think I would take the over on this as well. It feels a bit too low for even in aging Alvin Kamara. Like he's not terribly old, but he's been in the league for 7 seasons now. And he's hit this over in every single season. And again, only played 13 games last year, averaged 3.9 yards per carry. I think he gets over this number. Kool-Aid McKinstry is one of the top draft picks for the Saints this year, the defensive back out of Alabama. His odds for defensive rookie of the year, 35-1. I mean, it's not looking good for the kid, but we did see Sauce Gardner a couple years ago with the Jets, same position in that secondary, win defensive rookie of the year. Is there any shot that you're willing to take McKinstry at 35-1?
No. Like you gotta be Sauce, right? Like you gotta be Sauce. You gotta be that good. Like I mean, I came in the league and I'm already a top, 5 cornerback in all of football. I don't think he's going to be that. So no. And again, usually these awards go to DNs, guys who get sacked, right? Unless you have a linebacker, and you don't really have these anymore. But a linebacker that leads the league in tackles, a la what Patrick Willis or Luke Kuechly did when they came into the league, and you ain't got one of those. But yeah, I'm out on that, right? Like I don't know about you, but I can never feel okay with betting a cornerback. Even when Sauce Gardner won at the beginning of the season, we knew he was special, and I didn't bet for Sauce Gardner, which, obviously I was wrong, but still, go with the DN, go with a D tackle, go with a guy who's going to put up sack numbers as opposed to a guy who might get 5 interceptions. First game of the year. I got to shut up already. The Carolina Panthers.
That's a win. We can agree on that.
Yeah, that's a win. Next game, okay. Dallas.
Nope. Loss. Yeah, you're on the road at Dallas. Dallas's defense is too good. You're not winning that game. That's a loss.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Home with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm gonna say probably a loss. This is just a young defense for Philly early on in the season. How far have they come along? But then again, the run defense for the Saints, I don't think you're stopping Saquon. I gotta say a loss there, right?
Yeah, Saquon, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. It's Dallas Goedert. Like the Eagles defense is suspect, but they got an all-world offense this year, so they should be able to score points at Atlanta.
I say no. You're going on the road. Kirk is taking over in Atlanta. That Atlanta roster is fairly good. They were just kind of missing the quarterback. Desmond Ridder wasn't getting the job done. Kirk Cousins, as long as that Achilles is strong enough to hold him up, I say that's a loss for the Saints in Atlanta.
I'm with you. I got Atlanta being the division winners. I don't even think we have to talk about the next one at Kansas City.
We absolutely do not. Monday Night Football game. That's going to be a rough one for the Saints. So we'll move past that. Tampa Bay.
They're home against Tampa again. I think they're probably going to split this one with Tampa, but I do think Tampa again is a team that's going to hover around 9-8. I think they're going to be a good competitive team like they were last year. Nothing great, but still good. So I'll
give
take
them
a
the win here. Yeah, because there are going to be some coin flip games, and they're not going to lose all of those. Like, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. They're at home against the Tampa Bay that's comparable in terms of talent. Next week, Sean, week 7, another Sean coming to town. Sean Payton returns to New Orleans for the first time, not as the head coach of the Saints with the Denver Broncos.
I'm going to go a win for the Saints here.
Yeah.
I mean, Denver.
Short their week quarterback? 2, Thursday Night Football. Yeah, the quarterback is Bo Nix. Yeah.
Yeah, what are we saying? So that's, I guess, 3 wins we're giving so far, right?
Okay.
At the Chargers.
I say no. I say loss.
Yeah, me too. I actually, with this, we'll get onto this another time. I think Jim Harbaugh is just a winner, regardless of what you say about him. So I think the Chargers are going to be a winning team right away. At Carolina.
That's a win. I think they sweep Carolina this year. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's fair. It's Carolina. That's fair. I hope Bryce Young, because I used to work in Charlotte and cover the Carolina Panthers. I hope Bryce Young is good, and I hear he's a great kid and a hard worker. Yeah. So I hope they're better, but they ain't there yet. They got things to figure out. Atlanta, home.
We took the loss earlier this year at Atlanta. This is a coin flip one for me. I could go either way.
Okay. I'm gonna say Atlanta wins again.
Okay. I think that quarterback play significantly better, and who's the most important player on the field? That's the quarterback. So we'll go loss there in week 10.
It's a 1 o'clock. It's a 1 o'clock game for Kirk Cousins, so that should be fun.
Hey, Coles Kirk loves those 1 o'clock afternoon games.
Cleveland.
I'm gonna say a loss.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, Cleveland's going to be that defense alone is going to take it. All right, we'll skip ahead and hurry up a little bit. The Rams in December.
Rams coming into town. I'm going to say a loss here too.
Yeah, me too. I just think they're just they're another just solid team that's not great, but I got them too. The Giants after that. I'm gonna go with they get a win over the Giants.
I would agree with that. That Giants team, Daniel Jones is in for another rough season, in my opinion. They're not going to be any good. Even going on the road, I think the Saints can win that one. Then they're back home versus Washington. What do we think of Jaden Daniels taking over for the good old Commanders?
I think they beat Washington. Yeah, I think they beat Washington.
At home, too?
I'm not sure because it's at home and because Washington has a lot of weapons. They'll have a pretty good defense because of that staff, but I'm going to go with the Saints. What do you think?
Okay, I can get on board with that. This is another coin flip one for me, but we are talking a rookie quarterback. I know it's week 15, so he'll have plenty of time to get his feet wet before then. But a lot of things have to come together in Washington in order for them to be a team where I'm comfortable saying, yeah, you can go on the road to the Superdome and get that win. So we'll chalk that up as a win for the Saints. I'm going to go at Green Bay the next week, week 16, Monday Night Football. You're not beating Jordan Love at Lambeau. Not happening.
Yeah, in December, in the freezing cold. The New Orleans, you ain't built for this.
No.
So we got 6 wins with 2 games left.
That's clear. Well, I guess we do have 2 games left, so that's not clearly on the under. Okay, continue, Sean. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Vegas.
I think they can beat Vegas.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. That's
You're
fair.
not
And
on
then
board with
Tampa.
that.
I'm on board. Again, I don't
Okay.
think there's any game where I go the Saints are definitely going to win, but I can buy it.
Yeah.
I can buy them beating the Vegas. And then Tampa is the last game. I'm gonna go
At
Tampa.
Tampa as well. And this could
Yeah.
be, well, we don't know how the division will shake out. That could be an important one, or it could not mean a whole lot. I say they lose there. So that gives us 7 wins. And that was your projection. 7 wins, 10 losses on the season. We hit the under there. Plus, the under is plus money, plus 106 over at BetMGM. I like it, Sean.